Okay, that was stereo. We're going to dive into exactly what I did in that song. Looking down on the board here, you can see track 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can actually see these wave files. Now, I'm just going to isolate each one of these tracks and explain what I did in each of them. Track 1 is just going to be a riff, a nice sort of acoustic guitar riff. This is the signature riff of the song, which comes in a little ways through it. You'll hear that, and you'll hear kind of a sort of a percussion shaker style element of my guitar. Okay, track 2 is just the harmonies, so stereo, sung. I think I did 3 harmonies on this one, and actually did those back to back pretty quickly. So moving on to track 2, I've got my vocal harmonies. Here we go. So I actually did 4 harmonies there, and I could have back to back laid them down super fast without hitting the record play overdub button. But if I did that and I made one mistake, I would have had to undo or wipe every single one of them. So in the song, you would have seen me hit record play overdub a couple of times very fast to lock away that earlier harmony to then re-record the next one. Now track 3 is where I actually started. Let me play that for you real quickly. Now there's quite a lot going on track 3, and that's because that's typically the wild card that I use to build the song throughout the song. Originally on track 3, I started the entire song with this kind of little riff, harmony riff, which sort of went. And then when I come back around, I quickly re-recorded over the top of it another harmony. All on the B string, just to keep it nice and simple. And the reason I started there instead of the signature guitar riff is because there's elements that remove my rhythmic ability in that signature guitar riff at the start. That's a long time to hold a chord when you're trying to lay down the first loop in your loop station. So I found it a lot better to start with something that I was easily able to drive and keep my rhythm perfectly in time. So that's why I started on track 3, and then throughout the track, I built extra little elements to kind of add that extra sonic feature to the track. Track 4 is the larger part of the percussion and the bass line. Let me play that for you. Now on the percussion side of it, I've kind of got a little off ghost note tap with my thumb. You might notice on here, I'll talk about this probably a little bit further throughout, but I've actually got this wooden block that I sit on my guitar. This works perfectly on my guitar for kind of a snare block, wood block sound. Some songs I use it, some songs I don't. This one I didn't, but next to it is a nice ghost note. I find I get a good kick drum sound by hitting the strings over the top and muting the strings with my forearm on my left arm. The rest of it is just my bass guitar tone. Now that is what I use with my OC3 and my Spark together. And combined, I can isolate certain elements. Now throughout the song, I started the verses with just the drums and the bass. And then as they progressed, I brought in those extra elements. So with the first verse, I brought in track 1. And I think it was with the second verse, I brought in track 3 for an extra element. So it started here. Such a sweet melody. It's the first half of the verse. And then I brought in track 3. Of course, when I brought that track 3 in, it didn't have those extra features that I added after I sung that verse. So altogether, I was able to bring everything in and pull it out. And in fact, right at the top of each chorus, you might have noticed that only 2 of the tracks were going, let's say track 1 and 4. If I'm about to go into the chorus, instead of quickly turning on track 2 and 3 to make all the tracks active, I just used my stop all, start all, which stopped everything and started everything. And I find that very helpful in my loops when I want to have a big impact on a chorus, like a big hit or a big strum pattern. So I went from this. Our love is stereo. I stopped everything on the fourth hit and came back in on the first hit of the chorus. There was also one breakdown moment that I had with track 2 that I dropped everything out. For a chorus breakdown, I find it really handy to bring the dynamics down nice and low in a creative element with just vocals, and then build back onto that for a big crescendo output. So there you have it. That's my breakdown of my song Stereo. I hope that some of the creative elements that I used in here can be useful when you're creating your loops.